Hello. This is my video for the book World on Fire, pages 1 through 21. And essentially this book is about a globalization and how it's breeding ethnic hatred. You think of the title of the book, The World on Fire, the world is burning, the world is angry. Has to do with the topic of globalization. And really the author starts out the story talking about the murder of her aunt. How her aunt was a foreign national living in the Philippines, and she was a wealthy woman that had a plastics conglomerate in the country of the Philippines, saying that by having my ethnic minority in different countries and having them take advantage of free market systems to promote wealth, where the majority of the ethnic groups remains poor, that is of course going to breed inequality. And because of that inequality, it's going to breed hatred and conflict, and really is what led to the murder of Amy Chua's aunt. We learned about market-dominant minorities is what it's called. It's really an example of this Chinese woman that owned this plastics conglomerate in the Philippines, and this happens all around the world because of free market societies. Globalization seeks to promote free markets, seeks to promote democracy. These ideas of having an open market that can function on its own and having a democratic system, which really is a system that promotes the free market. They both work hand in hand. Democracy is supposed to have equal rights, promote liberty and things like that. But really it's breeding ethnic hatred because these are very good institutions in the long run, but in the short run they're going to create divisive lines between ethnic groups, between different groups within a country. A good example of this was the backlash that globalization causes within a country. First, talks about ethnic groups targeting anti-market forces. So a good example of this was a backlash in Zimbabwe, in which the president of the country called for his people to take the land back. There was a bunch of private property that none of it was owned by ethnic Zimbabweans, but rather by white foreigners. So it was a call to take these market forces back and disseminate them to the people. The second one is democracy. Really, to lead a country to go back to revert somewhere, it needs a democratic process, and really having democracy thrown on a country where they didn't develop them on their own is really detrimental, and that will create a backlash and the anti-democratic movement. The last backlash is majority-supported violence. And a good example of this is the Rwandan genocide. We had the Hutus and the Tutsis, and really the Tutsis were the minority, but they had hegemonic domination. They were the dominant class because of the Belgian people that were in Rwanda that told them that, and that led to hatred between the two groups of Rwandans. All these things, the globalization that causes, is going to breed tension in the short run. It's going to lead towards hatred between ethnic groups, the haves and the have-nots. An interesting fact of globalization is that Bill Gates, although he's in the ethnic majority in America, and he was getting in trouble for all these anti-competitive schemes and monopolistic practices, yet no one hated Bill Gates because he was of America's ethnic group. So really, What we're talking about, the export of free market capitalism to other countries where they don't develop it on their own. This is the same as exporting hate, and it will breed nothing else except for that. And that's my video for World on Fire, the beginning